For Los and Enitharmon walked forth on the dewy earth, contracting or expanding their all-flexible senses, at will to murmur in the flowers, small as the honeybee, at will to stretch across the heavens and step from star to star, or standing on the earth erect, or on the stormy waves, driving the storms before them, or delighting in sunny beams, while round their heads the elemental gods kept harmony. And Los said, Lo, the lily pale and the rose reddening fierce reproach thee, and the beamy gardens sicken thy beauty. I grasped thy vest in my strong hand in vain, like water springs, in the bright sands of Los, evading my embrace. Then I alone wander among the virgins of the summer. Look, they cry, the poor forsaken Los, mocked by the worm, the shelly snail, the emmet and the beetle. Hark, they laugh and mock at Los. Enitharmon answered, secure now from thy smitings of thy power, demon of fury, if the god enraptured me enfolds in clouds of sweet obscurity, my beauteous form dissolving, howl thou over the body of death, 'tis thine. But if among the virgins of summer I have seen thee sleep, and turn thy cheek delighted upon the rose of lily pale, or on a bank where sleep the beamy daughters of the night, starting they rise and flee from thy fierce love. For though I am dissolved in the bright God, my spirit still pursues the false love over rocks and valleys. Los answered, therefore fade I, thus dissolved in raptured trance. Thou canst repose on clouds of secrecy, while o'er my limbs among the beauties of the world. Cold and repining, Los still dies for Enitharmon, nor a spirit springs from my dead course. Then I am dead, till thou revivest me with thy sweet song, now taking on Ahania's form, and now the form of Enion. I know thee not as I once knew thee, in those blessed fields where memory wishes to repose among the flocks of Tharmas. Enitharmon answered, wherefore didst thou thine arms around Ahania's image? I deceived thee, and will still deceive. Urizen saw thy sin, and hid his beams in darkening clouds. I still keep watch, although I tremble and wither across the heavens, in strong vibrations of fierce jealousy, for thou art mine, created for my will, my slave. Though strong, though I am weak, farewell. The god calls me away, I depart in my sweet bliss. She fled, vanishing on the wind, and left a dead cold corse in Los's arms. Howlings began over the body of death. Los spoke, thy god in vain shall call thee, if by my strong power I can infuse my dear revenge into his glowing breast. Then jealousy shall shadow all his mountains, and Ahania curse thee, thou plague of woeful loss, and seek revenge on thee. So saying, in deep sobs he languished, till dead he also fell. Nights passed, and Enitharmon ere the dawn returned in bliss. She sang o'er Los, reviving him to life. His groans were terrible, but thus she sang, I seize the sphery harp, I strike the strings. At the first sound the golden sun arises from the deep, and shakes his awful hair. The echo wakes the moon to unbind her silver locks. The golden sun bears on my song, and 9 bright spheres of harmony rise round the fiery king. The joy of woman is the death of her most best beloved, who dies for love of her. In torments of fierce jealousy and pangs of adoration, the lover's night bears on my song. And the 9 spheres rejoice beneath my powerful control. They sing unceasing to the notes of my immortal hand. The solemn, silent moon reverberates the living harmony upon my limbs. The birds and beasts rejoice and play, and everyone seeks for his mate to prove his inmost joy. Furious and terrible they sport, and rend the nether deeps. The deep lifts up his rugged head, and lost in infinite humming wings, vanishes with a cry. The fading cry is ever dying, the living voice is ever living in its inmost joy. Arise, you little glancing wings, and sing your infant joy. Arise and drink your bliss, for everything that lives is holy, for the source of life descends to be a weeping babe, for the earthworm renews the moisture of the sandy plain. Now my left hand I stretch to earth beneath, and strike the terrible string. I wake sweet joy in dens of sorrow, and I plan to smile in forests of affliction, and wake the bubbling springs of life in the regions of dark death. Oh, I am weary. Lay thine hand upon me, and I faint. I faint beneath these beams of thine, for thou hast touched my 5 senses, and they answered thee. Now I am nothing, and I sink, and on the bed of silence sleep, till thou awakenest me. Thus sang the lovely one, in rapturous, delusive trance. Loss heard. Reviving, he seized her in his arms, delusive hopes kindling. She led him into shadow, and thence fled, outstretched, upon the immense, like a bright rainbow, weeping and smiling and fading. Thus lived Loss, driving any on far into the deathful infinite, that he may also draw Ahania's spirit into her vortex. Ah, happy blindness! Enion sees not the terrors of the uncertain. Thus Enion wails from the dark deep, the golden heavens tremble. I am made to sow the thistle for wheat, the nettle for a nourishing dainty. I have planted as false oath in the earth, it has brought forth a poison tree. I have chosen the serpent for a counselor, and the dog for a schoolmaster to my children. I have blotted out from light and living the dove and the nightingale, and I have caused the earthworm to beg from door to door. I have taught the thief a secret path into the house of the just. I have taught pale artifice to spread his nets upon the morning. My heavens are brass, my earth is iron, my moon a clod of clay, my sun a pestilence burning at the noon, and a vapour of death in night. What is the price of experience? Do men buy it for a song, or wisdom for a dance in the street? No. It is bought with the price of all that a man hath. His house, his wife, his children. Wisdom is sold in the desolate market where none come to buy, and the withered field where the farmer ploughs for bread in vain. It is an easy thing to triumph in the summer's sun, and in the vintage, and to sing on the wagon loaded with corn. It is an easy thing to talk of patience to the afflicted, to speak the laws of prudence to the houseless wanderer, to listen to the hungry raven's cry in wintry season, when the red blood is filled with wine and with the marrow of lambs. It is an easy thing to laugh at wrathful elements, to hear the dog howl at the wintry door and the ox in the slaughterhouse moan, to see a God on every wind and blessing on every blast, to hear sounds of love in the thunderstorm that destroys our enemy's house, to rejoice in the blight that covers his field and the sickness that cuts off his children, while our olive and vine sing and laugh round our door, and our children bring fruits and flowers. Then the groan and the dollar are quite forgotten, and the slave grinding at the mill, and the captive in chains, and the poor in prison, and the soldier in the field where the shattered bone hath lain him, groaning among the happier dead. It is an easy thing to rejoice in the tents of prosperity. Thus could I sing, and thus rejoice, but it is not so with me. Ahania heard the lamentation, and a swift vibration spread through her golden frame. She rose up ere the dawn of day, when Urizen slept on his couch, drawn through the unbounded space, onto the margin of nonentity, and the bright female came. There she beheld the spectrous form of Ennion in the void, and never, from that moment, could she rest upon her pillow. End of the second night.